could potentially be a tempo a little bit too fast for Spirit,
Yep.
who are playing their last game here, of course, their last best of 2 of the group stage.
Yeah, what I think is important about these drafts, especially as you mentioned, the last game, right, is that when you have a tempo setting draft, the game definitely feels much more in your control, right? Like, if you are the person who manages to play the early game well, if you play that perfectly, there's not much that Team Spirit can do, whether they're good or bad, to stop you, right? And we say this a lot. The early game draft will always trump the late game draft if the early game draft plays pitch perfect. And that gives Liquid a lot of control. That makes them feel quite nice. However, I think Team Spirit definitely has a draft that can deal with this nicely. They have a lot of minus armor, which I love. That combination is fantastic. Great Roshan ticket potential, and they're Radiant. So they do have some nice ways to recover, and I feel like the 15-minute mark for Team Spirit will be a crucial point of inflection for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my favorite voice line in the lane game, I'll be honest.
And a nice little tip there is Liquid will, tip the hat towards Mira. And speaking of people that need BKB, I think it's going to be like Collapse this game, right? He's got a couple things to be annoyed by, and that's my perhaps one, kind of hinge on this draft is that Collapse is normally a big playmaker for Spirit, and Tide I think is a little bit more limited in his ceiling there.
I agree. Tide is a bit more limited in what you can do, but that said, to me, okay, I mean, we always quote this, right? We were casting Collapse ages ago.
Yeah.
It was in the EPOS Global Leagues. I remember it was on Team Cascade or Meow or some other random stack. And I remember watching him mostly on Tide. It was back then it was Tide that he was playing a lot, right? And it was the big team fight, like ultimate team fight heroes. And at first I didn't know who he was, obviously, because again, tier 3 teams. And I noticed that he was playing these heroes who were very off meta back then, and he was succeeding with them. And what I noticed with Collapse, and I think he does so well, is the timing that he uses these big spells at is really impressive.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's known for like the skewer plays at TI, or his Mars plays, but his patience at launching that Ravage is, to me, one of his best assets. So even though Tide usually not a high skill ceiling hero like you mentioned, I think Collapse breaks that a little bit. I actually think he plays this hero at a really high level.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd say that's fair, right? Even though I'm comparing a different position and an item time in here, it was like Pakaz using simply just the Manta style, right?
Exactly.
In that last fight.
The patience is important.
Yeah. No, I can see that point. I again, just to, as a counter, it's whereas on a Tide, you flub your one,
you're done.
BKB Ravage, you're done, right?
Yep.
Very unforgiving, whereas, on a Brew, I missed the Master Spell, fight's not completely over.
Exactly.
For example.
I like that you went fully British there for a second. I completely agree with that. As Mira, by the way, is being hunted down by Insania and 2 cities as well. He's decided to copy Toronto, Tokyo. Love that. Utrecht, Los Angeles. that is the good luck charm for Insania.
And bottom, even there's a bit of action onto Yatoro, who does not, of course, have Refraction yet. So Zai eager to get in as much damage as he can. The level 1 Dragon Tail, not too worried about the right-click harass from Miposhka, who's first to hit level 2, and that's a very good self-cancel as well down bottom.
Collapse Stop could be in trouble. He's going into the trees. Oh no, they cut the tree immediately so Insania can get that Nether Blast, and that's going to be First Blood going the way of Matumba, man. That's a good start.
Correct. It's Los Angeles.
I mean, it's a great thing. Insania's a riot in everything he does, honestly. But that's a really good start here for Liquid. They get the first blood on the NP. I'm assuming Matumba's going to rotate as much as we saw the Hawk doing it with the NP. I think that's the strength of the hero right now in the patch. And I always liked seeing Matumba on these tempo-setting carries, right? I think that was his specialty. He plays a traditional carry very well, but the tempo-setting ones, he just stands above the rest so hard.
But he's so good on the weird ones, too. Right?
The weird ones.
Like the Lone Druid, Like he
It's true.
He tears it up, even getting the ban out from Spirit.
Down bottom, they do get the Fire Blast. Yatoro for now will be okay. In fact, Yatoro turns this around.
Ooh.
And he's going to go for Zai. Yatoro, sorry. When I say on the first syllable, the T naturally sounds American, so I do apologize. It should be a stronger T.
Yatoro.
Yeah. Yatoro. Yeah, it's hard, right?
Well,
it's not natural.
Yatoro versus Matumba, man.
Yeah, Matumba, man.
Lots of hard T's on Spirit, right? Toronto, Tokyo.
That's true. Oh, is that a...
What?
There's a rhythm to it. I'm starting to understand like this man's inner working.
Yeah, that's Spirit. They wrote their team names in iambic pentameter. Really big Shakespeare fans.
That is true. Yes, especially it's hard to do because they didn't even speak English when they did this, right? They had to get a translator hired just for this.
Very impressive.
Yatoro is going to be harassed a little bit here down bottom. The Bushwhack is available, so they could go for it, but they've cut down every single tree, so that's impossible. That's a good technique, honestly. He went for Quelling Blade himself. Oh, Boxy in trouble. Miposhka Can't quite get the kill, but maybe the Ignite will do the trick. Last tick, the Fairy Fire was ready.
Yep. Yeah. And Yatoro more interested in, of course, getting that range creep last hit than really doing too much to help. But they are fighting a bit more as Yatoro gets the refraction back up. Zai, tanky as ever, though. Not going to be too bothered here with that second point in the Dragon's Blood, and even looks for a bit more. This is a bottom lane, very high skills that they're both playing. Just right on that edge, aren't they?
I like that Zai also went for the Bracer build that we've seen Collapse playing a lot, right? The double Bracer, I don't care what hero I'm playing, I'm just double Bracering it. With the Dragon's Blood, it does make you hard to kill. Even though this seems crazy, DK, one of the few heroes that can kick him out of lane is TA with a meld. Despite the early armor for Dragon Blood, especially because Side Blade damage is also pure.
Yep.
So you initially hit him a little bit with meld, he gets away, you hit him with creeps like he's doing right now. It's a tough one for Zai.
Yep. The rotation mid lane from Mira here. Nikkei from behind, going to be surprised by this, just shy of level 6, but not really much Mira can do. Level 1 telekinesis, a little bit better these days, right? But it's not going to do much here to secure the kill.
Pango needs 6, right? Tar and Tokyo, once he gets the 6, there we go. You Rolling Thunder on the Storm and Kimbe killed in the pinball zone. But until then, unfortunately, without a Coddle, Pango's about that ultimate, right? The Coddle makes it so that Swashbuckle and Show Crush can have more impact early, but if that's not existent, then it's only a small burst of damage.
And there's the 6 from Mikke, so he could look to make some aggressive moves potentially. That's why Mira, I think, is sticking around. As the power rune still 50 seconds off, but Tide, the one thing he still does, even versus one of the better ranged right-clickers in lane, such as Nature's Prophet, is he tanks real well.
Yeah, and that's why he went for the build as well. Kraken Shell and Anchor Smash, equal points, no point in Gush just yet. He knows there's no offensive potential.
Pretty good.
It is, Mira. But Matumba Man in trouble. They do have to look at Kinesis to send him back. No Gush, which means no kill potential. And I think Matumba was playing aggressively on purpose, acknowledging this issue, right? Because there was Gush there, he was dead. But he knows he went for the 2 points in Kraken Shell. You can guess that. You can also guess based on the Anchor Smash debuff. And that way you can play a little bit more aggressively and force this rotation by Mira.
Okay, Liquid are rotating more supports in this bottom area, so they're banking on this rune being bot. They can commit the ward. We'll see here in 5 seconds for our first action rune. Mira's already positioned top stack in the camp, as is Toronto Tokyo, and the rune will be there for him as well. Nice little invis into the bottle.
We see Boxy chasing down Miposhka, but there's no way you're killing him, ever. So I think he gave up on that.
Yeah, especially with, I mean, a Blightstone, literally the worst attack speed in the game, worse than Doom now.
Worst BAT.
BAT, yes. Yeah. 2.0, even Doom's 1.7. Nice frog had emerged.
Isn't it 1.9?
I'm not sure.
I think 1.10 is a standard.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah. But it's because you have to load the crossbow, right?
Yeah.
Crossbows are notoriously difficult to load.
It's a full action in D&D. People always forget that.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'll believe you there. That's why I always go with my trusty bow. None of this crossbow bull.
And speaking of dragons, Zai's going to hit a stun down bottom into the bushwhack for Yatoro. It's a decent acorn shot here. They get a lucky bounce, but with Miposhka in the area, it's never really too big of a threat here for Yatoro.
He has a refraction in a second. Bushwhack is available. He did get the refraction off in time. Tower hitting Boxy. There's not much damage beside that, and the Bushwhack will end up punishing Miposhka. With the help of Zai, that kill is certainly possible.
Yeah, it is, and Matumba, even a sneaky little cheeky play there on Wrath of Nature. Yatoro had to get out of vision, and refraction barely up in the nick of time. He saw the bounces coming for him, and yeah, that was certainly going to be enough damage to cut through him.
Yes, true. When you're low and you hear the...
Oh, you go, oh, man.
It's coming for me.
Yeah. As a support, that's when I just run next to a cliff and see if they have vision there. So at least when I die, I go, they have a ward. I died for something.
That's kind of clever, actually.
Well.
That's pretty good.
That's why I die 30 times versus Nature's Prophet. Not any other reason.
No, it's because you're checking for wards the whole time.
Yeah.
You also get 30 T wards, right?
Also, I don't know what a Quelling Blade is.
I mean, you're a support. Why would you buy that?
Exactly.
Miposhka did eventually go back for it, by the way. He didn't have it in the beginning, but he's like, you know, these guys... There's so many tree users on the enemy team.
I'll tell you what, Mira's even got one as well, actually.
Actually? Oh, wow.
I think, well, we're looking. Right
the Tide does it as well, Collapse, and the Pango. It's the Quelling Blade team.
It's the Team Quelling Blade.
Team Lumberjacks, Team Spirit.
They're cosplaying Timbersaw.
Yeah. I mean, with this, they can actually cut down like 5 trees in the sprout, and even with the shard, you can get out. that's the ultimate tactic.
Imagine that. Imagine Spirit just all blinking to get someone out of a sprout instead of just, I don't know, buying a 4-staff.
Or a face boots or anything. I do wonder, by the way, TA very commonly goes for treads. We did see that for Yatoro this time. No face boots. The shard might come into play later as Mira. Okay, Mikke wants this free kill, but will it be as free? Certainly not with that bushwhack.
Nope.
However, he did have a ball lightning, so Mira couldn't really do much against him.
Yep. A couple high fives in this top lane. Collapse at Stadia. They just can't really kill each other. Just gonna farm waves and each other high five. That's another problem, and I think why we kind of saw this Tidehunter hero kind of fall out of favor. He doesn't do really. He's actually pretty good at doing the stanking thing and standing in front of a tower.
Yes. But he's a worse tanking in that sense.
Yeah, indeed. As down bottom, a post shit, no chance to use the Quellain, so he's gonna try and TP a bold move, which he's gonna cancel and then immediately bloodlust the tower. That
good choice
do
actually.
Mirror with the Fade Bolt will slow down this push a bit more, but I think Zai will insist. At least a little bit, because Toronto Tokyo is here with the haste rune.
I mean, let's take this play as an example. I think it exemplifies a really important thing in Dota that people, in pro players especially, understand is that if you're not going to do anything, you might as well try to do something.
Okay, top on a collapse here, as he will simply TP away.
Yeah, it's going to complete.
Nope.
But yeah, like when you have a situation like that, a lot of people would just keep the TP going and pray, right? But if you know you're going to die anyway, you're going to die without doing anything, you might as well try to make a play. However small it might seem, it's much better than doing nothing, right? Everything is better than zero here. And that's what a lot of Dota players start to do right now. Like, if you're about to die, you waste time, right? You fight back, you try to get a quick kill, whatever it is. Not trying to save your life and hope the enemy team will, like, make a mistake or you'll make a miracle play. That's not going to happen.
Down bottom, quick little kill on the mirror, level 6 for Boxy, set up by Zai, an easy kill there. As they continue to just kind of put the support lives on the lines here for the bottom tower.
I like that Matumba's like, you know what? Oh, wait, mid lane. They do have Toronto Tokyo in their sight. Invis Rune, got it by the sentry, but he just barely gets away. He'll be fine.
Full wand, I think, you know, he'd make a bit of a mistake if he were to die there. But he won't, and Matumba is going to get this tower here with all the treants.
I was going to point out, Matumba thought, why gank when I could just take the immobile objects in the map? That's much easier. And it's guaranteed.
So it's a bit of a different. I know we compared the potential early activation of an NP to Dahawk, but it's a very different build. We should say, right? This is going to be the Orchid NP. He wants to get this item online.
More classic one.
Yeah, it's vintage, right? And then he's going to want to go for it. The old ones, especially in offlane, used to go Blade Mail all the time back when it gave armor, or sorry, int, right? But
I remember the 4. It was Misery who made that up, right? I think it was Misery who first came up with it. The was 2 nulls into Blade Mail or something.
Yep. Yeah, it was a little silly. Just way too much damage.
That was a great build. I love that, man. Misery had some crazy ideas before.
Top tower taken. So far, Spirit, they haven't found a kill yet, Abo, but they're not really feeling the pressure. They're not smoking up. They're not really desperate to use the Rolling Thunder. So far, quite happy, seemingly, at the progression of this game.
Mid lane. This is going to be the sharpshooter charged up. Kill the Rubik easily. Mickey continues to push this tower mid. And that should be probably the next objective. In fact, top lane, though, they're going to go for another kill on Miposhka, but he has a TP, which will be successful this time. And Collapse, we talked about it. He's like Tide is like a bad tanking.
Yeah.
He already took top, though, which is pretty good for a Tide already.
Indeed.
And now he can go mid and defend it, because bottom is already done.
I do think if Liquid wanted to TP probably one more hero up there, they could have stopped them from doing that.
Yeah.
Tide clears the waves probably faster than Sand King, especially when you have the Anchor Smash maxed. But Sand King does it just much more annoyingly, doesn't he? He's hard to uproot.
And the thing about Tide, though, that he does have an advantage as a defensive offlaner compared to Sand King is that he is much better defending the mid lane. Sand King, you put him out of position, right? Or you get a quick stun on him and you can burst him. You are not bursting a Tide. Out of the question.
No.
So that allows him to sit in a much shorter lane where ganks are much more likely and when it's easy to kill him. And that's what he's going to do now. As Rolling Thunder down bottom, does find Zai, Ignite. Also slowing him. The Bushwhack giving a bit more time. Can Zai actually get away? He thinks I'm going for the counter kill at least against the Ogre. He does accomplish it. In fact, Zai is actually fully getting away with Mickey joining him. Silence up is Toronto Tokyo, and they want the last, the +1 that Mirror represents. This support will fall, and Liquid will get a triple kill.
Yeah. Wow, this was 9 unanswered kills by Spirit. Again, the important thing to look at is net worth and really how little Yatoro has kind of been bothered. He's got a pretty good progression here, so we'll take another look at that. Zai, after this kill, by the way, he has Blink Dagger, so he's going to be right back up and at him here. But a great Bushwhack here. That turns this one around, and just simply not enough damage with Toronto Tokyo having the full defusal. He was really close to it. I'm surprised he makes that play. I thought they were waiting on that item.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
as I was saying real quick, Zai, with his fresh Blink Dagger, he's smoked up, Elder Dragon form. They're going to look for a kill, but Collapse is not really the ideal target. They're going to try with the break.
Yeah, Sharpshooter will help. Do they have enough damage to silence on top of that? Yeah.
There we go.
Thanks to Mickey's help and also Matoma, man, this lineup has a lot of global potential. And this kill is important, but what's really important is the tower that it leads to.
Yeah, and the break's important there, not only for the damage, of course, but traditionally you silence a Tide with Orchid, not really a great item to use against him, because you do 250 damage and he dispels it and he ravages you and you get sad. So that was really good execution from Liquid. Obviously they had this in mind in the draft, but that's what Tide is good at. He's good at standing in front of your tier 1 tower mid specifically and just stopping enemies from pushing. Liquid have plans for this, and they've got plans for Miposhka, who will be the 11th kill straight right before Toronto Tokyo picks off Boxy.
Well, we know who is going to be kicked first if this match does not go their way. Boxy loses his life in the mid lane. Of course, he was just actually cutting the lane there. Not that bad. But Liquid, now that 1 point, right?
Yep.
Tarnishes the perfect score.
Well, you know, Liquid's an older org, right? Basically what it means is he's got to upgrade the courier now, right? So he's the first one to die.
That's true.
But that's Toronto Tokyo, right, with the defusal before and after, you know, pre-post defusal Pango. It's a different era. Where this is his world for the next couple of minutes, right? And he can make some pretty big plays, especially versus Storm, right? Burn the mana. It does twofold because that's also his mobility in the early game. So it's going to be a bit annoying as we see Insania not only restore the HP, but the mana to a Storm Spirit. Not quite as good as like a Coddle, perhaps, but it has its use, to be certain.
Yeah, I think it might be better, actually, but we'll talk about this in a second because Toronto Tokyo, he will get the Rolling Thunder. So I think he should be fine for now. Out of spite, he just mashes Mickey on his way out.
Yeah.
So the difference between Coddle and Pugna in fights is that Coddle is 100% of a little bit more mana in a fight, right?
Yeah.
But Pugna is the kind of hero that keeps allowing you to make plays all the time, right? Because he tops you up much more so than a Coddle does, right?
That's true.
And I think this, especially in the early game, and especially in a game with map control like this, comes into play much more.
Okay.
Liquid is literally never stopping.
I see. Oh, and speaking of, they go right for Yatoro. At least a good trap slow. Well, yeah, Matumba's like, all right, I'll keep farming. See you later. And he's out of here. Nope, just kidding. He's going to sprout and go in place. Okay.
Oh.
Well, wasted his TP.
Insania drops the wards like, oh my god, the Ogre's here. That's why my smoke broke. That makes sense. And they go for Yatoro instead. Ball lightning from downtown. Mickey comes in, hoping to kill off Yatoro. Does it the BKB, the refraction saves Yatoro, and he does manage to make out of here alive. The Desolators just got bought on him. They did have to sacrifice Miposhka, but it seems fine.
Yeah. This could potentially be,
Ooh,
I was about to
smoke.
say, yeah, that's the BKB use. Collapse, he's itching to use this Ravage, especially because he just got a Blink Dagger delivered, Avo. That's going to be in his inventory. Rolling Thunder's up in 10 seconds. He's stolen Breathe Fire, pretty significant nuke on the Rubik. They're hoping to get something bigger than Boxy, but they're going to have to take it. Oh, Mickey? He knows he can dodge a Ravage there, no problem. So it's going to be Boxy that goes down, with Bushwhack stolen, though.
Mickey comes by, Box's like, are you coming to save me? Mickey's, nah, this is Arcane Root, bro.
Sorry, I don't know the squirrel. I'm just here for the rune.
I don't know this squirrel. I don't associate with
squirrel's not with me.
Small furry animals.
You know, Lightning, we strike trees all the time. We hate squirrels.
It's true, it's true. Mickey will be taking that Arcane Root. Let's see what they can do with it. I do think they need Hoodwink for these plays, honestly. That's an integral part of your ganking squad because he's a huge amount of damage. So you just kind of wait for Boxy to come back.
It's a support, right? It's a short respawn timer. We're
Exactly.
50 minutes in. And, well, Zaya can always buy you plenty of time. It's only level 2 Dragon Tail, but still a 2.5 second stun. And there's the Fireball all ready to go from him. So his farm and the push will continue to accelerate.
Yep. However, Team Spirit has been doing well at staving off this Liquid draft, right? Mind you, Liquid is not meant to win like 10 minutes and win the game. They still win the opportunity is still large. But for now, Team Spirit has gotten farm with Yatoro. They haven't really stopped the Pango from farming either. I think Toronto Tokyo is pretty happy with how it's going.
Yeah. One problem about Nature's Prophet in general with Fireball, with having a support with like a good wave nuke, is that it pushes the lanes. And that makes farm a little bit more accessible for Spirit, right?
Yeah.
If you want to go for a kill underneath a tier 1, it's got to be fast. You got to go in and then out pretty quickly, unless you want to stick around for a fight. Matumba not really kitted out for that quite yet.
They're going in. They erase that refraction. Ravage comes out, but they did hurt the Tide a fair amount. Thanks to that Nether Ward, Yatoro could still be in trouble. They do get the kill, and Collapse falls. As Toronto Tokyo rolls through, realizes he has to get away from this. There's no mana, luckily, on Mickey, but Zai does have the Blink Dagger, saved by Miposhka, as he fire blasts Zai, stops him in his tracks. Miposhka, you'll pay for this, he says. And he goes down as the 4th kill for Liquid here.
Yeah, Arcane Rune, right, being banked by Mickey. He's got 2 null tallies and the Fairy's Trinket. It's basically a dream game for him.
And Sania's like, Mickey, I have no more health. Keep sucking.
Keep giving me your HP and make it mana, thank you.
That's exactly that's it. Yeah, that's what you say. The long phrase is better.
It's he loves it, and it's a pretty good Ravage, all things considering. But because they initiate onto Yatoro, and Mickey is relentless at hunting him down with that 8-second BKB. The only damage dealer that Spirit has in this game, at least in the early game, is killed, taken care of, dispatched, and without Ravage, it's an easy Roshan here, as you can see picture-in-picture. Aegis now on Mickey.
Yeah, it is wild to me how much damage that Nether Ward did to Collapse just on a Ravage. I thought like there must be something else he got nuked by, but it was really just a Nether Ward. When I was checking the replay, I mean, it's max Nether Ward, mind you, and that's what you said. Like, yeah, it wasn't a bad Ravage, but because of the max Nether Ward, Tide pretty much killed himself. Yeah. And then on top of that, the spell damage reduction really reduced the early Ravage damage. And yeah, Ravage is nice for the stun, but especially early, that 300 damage, it has to come out, right? And reducing that by 25%, not being able to utilize that Rolling Thunder, hell, even Ignite, which is Ogre's biggest teamfight spell.
No, you've got a point. It felt like there was no damage for a certain amount.
Matumba?
Certainly wasn't. Oh, Matumba is going to be ripped through here. Hello, beep beep, says Toronto Tokyo, as he will go right through those trees. He even spawns the treants and bonks him on the way out.
It's like the inverse of what happens in Pump Poco, mate.
Yes, and I don't know what that is.
It's a Ghibli movie, sorry. If someone's watched this, about the Tanukis, it's a really cute movie.
Okay.
But the Tanukis lose that movie.
Oh,
here, they won.
Well, Mira's going to get off a bushwhack. Good effort to TP out, but the rest of Liquid was here, and he will be finished off by Mickey.
Good improv, though. They took down Mira here, and Zai says, let's go for tower, guys. I think we're strong right now. He's actually not going to go for the typical BKB. Instead, the Sanj is going to be the choice for him, really amplifying his tankiness. And to be honest, what does BKB really stop? Ravage. That's the Rolling Thunder, I guess, but mostly the Ravage. So if he feels like he can just tank the Ravage instead, if he feels like he wants to do more damage, Sanj, yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, Toronto Tokyo going for the Lincoln Sphere, so I imagine he just doesn't want to be hit by a DK stun into his death, making sure he can get off the roll.
It stops Sprout as well, right? I think Sprout does trigger Lincolns, because obviously the Sprout does go through the Rolling Thunder.
Right, that's
with a leash.
Concern for him.
Yeah.
The only other counterplay you reasonably have, besides a Force Staff, is Wind Waker, right? Very expensive.
Yep.
Or getting a little bit lucky and getting those spider legs.
Exactly.
So, but you can't rely on that. If you're building for a neutral item, well,
I really do think it's a Sprout. Anyway, Insania, drop the Nether Ward, and now how do you fight against him? Yadro says, no, I'm done.
Yeah, right now Matumba doesn't quite have the physical damage to be able to tear through him yet. With the crystals and the quick buy, that will rapidly change.
I love how quickly they realize, all right, they dropped the ward, guys. We got their strongest spell down. I'm just going to leave.
I believe our observer just showed us that Mickey, he actually bought the shard pretty early.
Yeah, he did.
I feel, yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting for Mickey. I mean, with the early BKB on this early Aegis, right, he's eager to get going on this. So that means Liquid, they're looking for a fight, and this could be the opening, the break here onto Collapse. Where's Matumba with the silence, though? That means he can get off the Ravage. Don't need one, though. The Bushwhack from Boxy is good. Only the first life from the Storm. He gets more mana when he comes back anyway, but Zai's being controlled, and he's out of mana. Ravage with the second life, but the BKB in time from Mickey as he runs down one. Yatoro is held down on his, well, only life. Down he goes, dead for a whole minute, Avo.
Yeah, and the Pango is still stunned. Toronto Tokyo, though, is going to commit for this kill on Zai. Will get it, as he was out of mana. Matumba has different plans. He's hoping to finish off Mira. The dust to slow him down, and the supports are fighting back here. They're trying to kill Matumba. Matumba feels stronger, but Toronto Tokyo helps his two supports. With the Decrepify, it's actually going to amplify the shield crash damage. Toronto Tokyo is chasing Matumba like a madman. He has the swashbuckle, and he will get it. Yeah. Finishing off Nature's Prophet a second time. Boxy with the TP. Will it complete in time? They have no way of canceling it, especially with the Decrep from Insania.
Yeah.
When we check the replay now, I would love to see if the Ravage was actually farther away because of the Nether Ward. Because I'm pretty sure the reason why it messed up is because he had to go far, because if he actually Ravaged underneath the Nether Ward, he dies.
Huh. All right, we'll take a look at that.
Okay, let's I'm just going to look at the tide right now. Okay, they do a bunch of damage to him, right? Storm dies. And you can see where the Nether Ward is dropped is like in the middle of the river, more or less, right?
Okay.
And so, yeah, there we go.
There's Nether Ward.
Did he do it right next to him?
No, he moved. He
moved, right? Because of the Nether Ward. Yeah, I think it's Nether Ward that was going to kill him, yeah. Yeah, man.
I suppose so.
Because I was wondering, because you can actually Ravage out of Aegis, right? Without the BKB activating in time, if you're clutch on the Ravage. But it was impossible to do because Nether Ward disturbed him. This Pogna, this genocidal maniac in a child's body is such a nuisance right now.
Yeah, highest int game in the game, highest int gain in the game, is going to be able to out.
Yeah, because he's in his formative years, you know. He learns.
He's thinking a lot. He
absorbs like a sponge.
He's very fast. The speedy child. Liquid will smoke down bottom. And, oh, well, hold on. They might catch Yatoro unawares as there's going to be the jump in. Maposhka doing a good job stunning Insania, but Boxy's dishing out the control. Matumba and Mickey the damage. Yatoro, ooh, does not get hit by that Sprout. He's going to make it up to the high ground. Maposhka is going to be breathed on by Zai. Spicy breath, and that'll kill him as Mira
Acorn shot.
not be able to get out.
Tokyo?
Yeah, he's still rolling around, isn't he? He's having a good time.
He almost died there. Insania has 2 jobs. I drop ward, I reverse stuck my storm. And that's what I do. And he's been doing a great job at it, by the way. Commended for that. Been getting a lot of tips if he could. That really keeps up the team morale as they now go for that tower. I don't know if they have enough damage to bring it down, though. Okay, yeah, NP plus DK, yeah, I don't know what I'm asking.
They will persist. Here's Collapse. He's got Blink Ravage at the ready. Okay, without BKB is not going to really look to push for more. It's just a tier 3 tower and back. It started with what was originally just a tier 2 push, so we'll get the outpost and we'll be happy with this push.
Yeah. I mean, you have a really, quote-unquote, easy push on this team because you can throw Treants, you know, DK spits from low ground, and you throw Nether Blasts. And so over-committing for these pushes feels a bit bad. Your 5-on-5 teamfight is also not amazing until the Ags on Storm comes online. You're much more of a pick-off team, or you rely on Boxy getting a godly bushwhack, right?
And he's been doing that quite a bit. Because
he has.
Every single time that Toronto-Tokyo has been able to connect a Swashbuckle onto Matumba Man, it's like he just gets shredded.
Yes.
Right? It's unstoppable. But
where that actually fails is when you go up to the high ground, because when you have to acorn shot to get that bushwhack off. There's a trick where if you're far away enough, you can actually bushwhack before you acorn. It's almost instant. But for the most time, you're probably going to cut down that tree.
Yep.
That's why the Hoodwink works much better around a lot of trees, because you don't depend just on the acorn shots, or in the middle of a huge team fight, because you don't have the time to quelling blade that tree, right? I love that we got a little highlight of how Toronto drinks water.
I think that was live. I think he's playing Pango with one hand for right now. I can't be certain.
That's how good he is.
He does have this Lincoln Sphere ready to go. This is the first time in groups that he's played the same hero, by the way. I know for sure he's played Pangolier.
And you know for sure he hasn't played the same hero yet.
Yes, I know that for certain. I did check that, and it's their last game, so...
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see what they can do down bottom. Matumba nearby. He's closing in on this BKB. I don't know if they really want to force this if you're Liquid. I mean, yeah, you just wait for your items, right? There's nothing that's compelling you. And the game is still okay for you.
Yeah, I mean, you just farmed another BKB on one of your cores. Right now, Zai doesn't really have to care about the Rolling Thunder.
Yep.
That's 2 of your cores, soon to be 3 as Matumba Man makes a quick, hasty farming pattern towards his BKB, which he is getting pretty close to.
Lotus Orb is going to be the item on Collapse. That's interesting. What is that for? Like, I guess for the crap is nice. Oh, they found the Pango and the Dragon Tail. It went through. Tokyo's dead. Yatoro in trouble as well. Double Force Staff, but the Storm can zap in. He doesn't need the Force Staff for that. Instead, he'll deal with the Ogre, which Insania wanted to take for himself, but Mickey finished him off with a Static Remnant. We do have that Dragon Tail. That was a weird thing for Zod. So he couldn't really reach the Rubik. But you got the 2 kills you were looking for. Not bad. That secures tier 2 for sure.
And they might stick around to push this tower. Matumba even shows up, gets a little support kill. That'll be a decent progress towards his BKB. Liquid may go back and try and check for Roche. It is in its possible window. None of the players, but we know it's going to be another 2 minutes. But Liquid, they feel strong enough, and for good reason, right? Without Toronto-Tokyo for 25 seconds, they want to get a lane to barracks.
It's a tough push with this far, honestly, because honestly, Team Spirit has great force multipliers, right? They can really bring down a team fight if they get the right initiation. So I respect Liquid's prudence here.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I do kind of rag on this Tidehunter hero for being, you know, oh, I missed the Ravage when he was respawning on Aegis, that's it. But he does have probably one of the biggest, literally, ultis in the
But there was a reason for that as well.
No, of course. But that's what I mean. You know, like, you missed it. That's that for Tide in the fight.
But now you have it again, and now Tide is still the strongest here.
Agreed.
At team fight, yeah. There's also not much like, oh, I gotta get the perfect, just R. Just R, honestly. Blink in the middle of it. Of course, the BKBs, it's for Tide, I think it's much more about patience. When you get these easier quote-unquote heroes like DK or Tide, a lot of the more basic concepts in Dota come to play, like patience and positioning. That's what we'll see by Collapse this game. As there's a smoke Richie, they're going up to the high ground.
Yeah, they might be able to catch a storm. The
Oh,
Ravage
what
from the
a
high
Ravage!
ground. Didn't see it coming. Nikkei, 100-0. That was a pretty unique usage of that.
That was really good. That was really good. Ravage from the high ground so they can't see it, right? That's on point. Because obviously Mira could have potentially gotten him with telekinesis, but it's harder to do.
Not guaranteed,
Exactly.
especially against a pro. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, there he goes. Just, okay.
Mick is like, yeah, I reckon, game recognizes game. That's it. There's not much more to it. They do find the Pango, though. They broke once again that Lincoln's with the Acorn shot. Now silenced. He will go down with the Orchid. Soul Burn, killing him off, or Zai's damage. And the Bushwhack also hits Mira. Boxy just wants to set up the skill on Mira, but Mira turns into a squirrel. And Boxy does not want to kill one of his own.
He gets down on all fours like he does after he finishes his Dota games and run away, but Maposhka is going to end up dying.
What do you mean that they finish his Dota games?
Yeah,
Is it because you're an animal during a Dota game? What's happening? I don't know.
oh, you didn't see the Rubik animation? You just...
No, I saw him getting I don't understand the Dota game reference. I've never... Well, you know. Whatever you do after you Dota games is up to you, mate. I respect it.
Don't we all? Yeah, look at this. Isn't that how you go back and more chicken nuggets after you finish your ranked games?
That's actually how I go to the kitchen to get more water. More chocolate milk, right?
I see. Well, Roche is up now. No chocolate milk for him, as Matumba and company are very keen to end his life, get that second Aegis and that Roshan shard.
Yeah, he hates chocolate milk because he wants that milk to make the cheese, right? And instead, he is gonna probably get burned to death. That would make kefir, if anything. As Roche will drop that shard. Who's gonna take it? Who doesn't have a shard? Just the Pugna. All right, that's a fun shard. I don't think it does anything though this game, but it's fun.
Oh, well, there they kill Mira. They had enough of him squirreling around.
I know you were saving that one. And Stania will get a free shard. Yep. Is there ever a situation where getting a shard that's useless is bad because it increases your net worth? Is that ever the case that you could consider, or no?
No, because I mean, there are some not stellar shards in the game, but like I think even Pugna's has, it increases the cast range. Like if
Oh
we
yeah,
can,
that's good enough. That's
honestly, like
yeah, you're right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like that's good enough for this guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The shard's nothing too crazy, but
I don't think you'll ever target the nether. Well, there's some uses here, right? When you're not healing some of your teammates, I just feel like as Pugna 5, your role in the mid-late game is definitely to heal your teammates.
I agree.
Rolling Thunder, we do hear it. And it's starting to Tokyo, hunting down Zai. Zai activating the BKB. He wants no part of this, but he thinks Yatoro seems juicy and killable. Which is why he starts breathing his icy breath on him.
Yeah, that was a weird jump from Spirit. I'm trying to see, like...
They forced the BKB at least.
Yeah, they've got a ward where Insania is dewarding, but they didn't have one up on the cliff, and they have very little vision outside their base, so that was like I don't know. I guess they were just assuming someone was going to be there. They were reading the map, and Toronto Tokyo thinks we can get a catch here.
It was a good call to retreat, right? I feel like it's okay. You try to make a play, you think, can we get away with it? You realize probably not, and you correct it immediately. Yep. No harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul. Yeah, absolutely. But with the gem up now for Boxy, I mean, these plays get even more desperate, right?
Yes.
Because now that ward, a pretty sneaky ward, right? Sometimes it's not caught by a sentry. They lose that potential play there. But hey, here's another potential play from Mira.
Yep.
Been holding this Philly Stone for a long enough time, such that he's not only farmed his Force Staff, but now the Blink Dagger for the Rubik. That really, really helps their catch against a potential Storm Spirit kill, even if it is quite slow for this patch.
Liquid's still a very good team at playing oppressively. All the iterations of Liquid. Anything ever since Insani joined the team, like their bread and butter is this oppression and this choking the enemy team out, and that's what the gem is for, and we see some really good warding. I like Team Spirit's warding, harder to de-ward, but with the gem, it's not going to matter too much.
No. And just to point out something I always really like to examine, Hoodwink, I don't know if pros have found, especially for supports, the one best build. Aether Lens is definitely up there, but this is Boxy going Octarine Gem. What a build.
I like it, actually. Oh, Nikkei jumps in, hoping to get a carry. He has the haste turn, so he knows he's safe no matter what.
Yeah.
Ags is also completed, so he has Electric Vortex, which will also pierce the Lincolns in this case.
And Stania will top him up, and he'll heal back up thanks to the Tranquils. Thank you very much. Matumba will push another wave back down bottom. Liquid, of course, knowing that Spirit can see that, they will back up just a bit.
You know, in this meta, you can know that salves are kind of OP when they pick the hero that's just a living salve, and that's what they decided to do with Insane in this game.
Well, he's like a little mobile fountain, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He's really good.
It's
this
just
guy.
like mana and goal and HP into you.
You give him like the tranquils basically, and you leave him a creep to sustain on, and he will do the work for you.
The thing that's kind of ridiculous about this hero that I think really makes him that strong as a healer is that you can heal mana, right, without you losing your own mana, and you lose your HP for mana. So essentially, like your own soul ring. There's a lot of things that allow you to heal HP easily.
There goes Toronto Tokyo again.
Matumba's like, I'll hit this Pango. I will. But Matumba might just die. Dignified to save him. He still has the Aegis anyway. 1 more minute for that Aegis. They killed Collapse. You lost the Ravage. And no Rolling Thunder means no more team fight. At least Fire Blast stopping Zai. There's the Tide Hunter coming back in again. He still has Ravage. They broke Pango though, but he has a Swashbuckle. So he'll be able to get out alive. Liquid, no, the Ravage is available. Collapse is going for it, but the Acorn Shot actually broke his Blink Dagger. And because of the Dragon Skill, he keeps breaking the Blink Dagger and Collapse as well.
Yeah.
A nuisance.
Super annoying. That was Matumba's 9-second BKB, by the way. He's been banking onto that one for a while, so he knew it was pretty chill in that engagement. What was that? That was the Acceptor reveal there for Mika. He jumps in, and he only gets 1 hero killed off of the budget black hole. That's AoE Vortex, right? It becomes ground targeted, so it does fully ignore Lincoln Sphere. Quite strong.
So the Bice is going to be the next item for Mickey. Talk about that, by the way. What is that going to be for here? Who's the ideal side? Can they just murder the Tide with a break? Is that the goal every single fight? I feel like if they get rid of the Ravage, the fight is pretty much liquids, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've got 2 breaks now, right? One on a much shorter cooldown. Matumba has the Silver Edge, right?
And undispellable.
Exactly. I forget who was talking, you know, this NP is just great versus, it was Jenkins, right?
It was Jenkins.
He naturally builds into the break, and here we are, right? We've progressed to this stage of the game where Jenkins gets something right.
Yes, it's true. And that Silver Edge is huge on Tide because, again, you could go Aeon. Aeon, I guess, is the best choice because at least you get some damage reduction, or, well, 100% damage reduction. But even if you go BKB, which is a solution to the Sharpshooter sometimes, or the Lotus Orb, which he did, right? That's also an idea. Not going to help against the Silver Edge.
And to your point earlier, right? Whereas early you do want this damage from the Tide Ravage to actually, you know, you really look for it. Now you're just looking for the stun, and then eventually a second stun on Refresher, right? That's what you want.
Yes. Yeah. So now the Netherward is not that big a nuisance for them. At least in that sense. It will stop some of the magical damage, but your damage should come mostly from TA anyway. And Team Spirit, they don't want to stay in their base. They want to make plays. They want to be active. This is how you prevent being choked. Zai is the worst target to go on, but they'll try anyway. Thanks to the break, it's possible. And Zai will actually survive. No, he'll die. But with the help of Mickey, this might turn into a pretty bad trade here for Team Spirit as they lose Collapse and Rubik as well. Toronto Tokyo, you stayed too long. Matuma wants the skill, but he didn't have the Sprout. So unfortunately, he couldn't leash him. They did force the BKB though here for Toronto Tokyo. And Liquid continue to play this aggressively. They don't rely on any cooldowns really.
No, not any big ones, but the DK is pretty crucial. Everyone else, relatively speaking, is kind of made out of paper. So they might be a bit hesitant to push up without an Aegis, as we'll take another look. We could see the vision. It was really just DK. I guess they saw maybe someone pushing in the mid lane. And they just decide, you know what, we got to blow someone up. Let's do it.
Yep.
That's a play to be made. They find it. Unfortunately, Toronto Tokyo, sorry, make that Yatoro has his BKB active. So Collapse has to tank that Sharpshooter, which is ultimately going to kill him.
Yep.
But still, the buildings are alive on the high ground. Tide's back up in 40 seconds. I think if you're Spirit, you're not too unhappy with that. Oh, but you're unhappy to see Mickey find an arcane in the game. That's no good. And speaking of finding things, Spirit have yet to find their final 2 or 3 neutral items. Again, Spider Legs pretty crucial here versus the Roots talent. Which, by the way, Matumba did not take. He actually went for the missed chance for sprouted units. I'd love to see what the pick and win rate is for these. Usually against the Pango especially, it's Sprout Leashes, not this game.
I'm surprised about this too. It's even good against Diegas of our BKB, right? Kind of a nuisance there.
Yeah, fascinating. But you can see it here. Sprout Leashes 76% of games. 75-25, you know? That's a lot more than I thought, to be honest.
What a great tool we have here.
Yes, thank you.
Right, we usually do cast alone in our rooms. Is like, what? I wonder what the win rate is. Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll never be able to find out.
Anyway, cheese.
The Roche 3 seconds to know the timer. Let's see what that's going to be. 2 minutes. It's a long one. Liquid hates
long
this.
Roche. Another long Roche. They'll just keep some treants parked.
Oh,
in the
we
pit.
we do get a leveler though from a Tumble Man, so this is the time where he might just hit so hard he just sneaks in a tower by accident.
And again, just to show you how really hard press this is, there's Spirit. They've got their first tier 4 neutral item before they finish finding their tier 3s, just to really drive that point home. So when you see a couple tier 3s pop up on the right side, I know we're 38 minutes in. Don't be too surprised.
Yeah, it's just Team Spirit. They've had to play super defensively. I'm
10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed that they haven't really fallen behind in terms of net worth by that much. Obviously, they're behind Matumba Man. That's expected. He is a Nature's Prophet after all. But the fact that you're only 4K behind him, the Pango's matching the Storm, not bad. Of course, this all comes at the expense of Collapse, who is now literally a walking Ravage. We're not going to see the usual impact on him. In fact, Collapse is going for a Recovery Midas.
Oh, this is a very interesting.
And it's not a meme. This is a real thing.
Okay. Well, I guess they think Liquid is going to really take
Recovery
their time?
Midas into Shadow Amulet. I've seen this build on Chappie before.
Yes, I believe it. Are we watching a just the Overwatch game?
No, this is a real.
Are we on content? Did Flex clear this with us?
Can you hear his voice in the distance?
I always hear it.
The reason why I do like the Recovery Midas, honestly, in the particular late game scenarios when you're being choked, is that this is the only literal item. I mean, it sounds very obvious, but it creates gold in the game, right? You don't. There's no level of map space. It's not about farming fast or whatever. It literally creates gold out of very little. So Collapse will at least be able to get that consistent amount of gold. That said, I think it's so late that unless you're expecting this to go like 60 minutes,
that's the thing, right?
It's not going to pay for itself.
If Purge were here, he'd be able to tell you how many uses it is exactly. I'm not 100% sure because the item's fallen out of favor and it's been adjusted.
Well, I think Richie, he should have just bought plate mail with his money.
Exactly, and that's probably what it was.
Armor.
You know, he needs a little bit more armor versus Matumbo. He keeps getting broken. Right, you can't break armor, as we all know.
Yellow guys, this is plate mail. Sorry, Purge.
But I don't know. It's fascinating that they think this game is going to keep going. And I suppose they're right, because for now, Liquid are content to just farm back. The point I wanted to make, and I'll have to make it quick, as Liquid, they smoke up, look for action as Roche is up, is that the biggest difference is going to be in the farm priority of the supports. The Liquid supports are very rich, especially when compared to Spirit. Here they go, though, potentially.
The DK, they went for the Tide here. And the Bushwhack, okay, with a break from the Sharpshooter, they killed him. Wow. There's no range for this fight. Mira is the next to die. I think Yatoro should realize there's no place for him to fight, but there's also no place for him to run. He's now Bushwhack to a tree, Toronto, Tokyo. The last man in, one fight for the boys as they call the GG. Team Spirit acknowledges this game is unwinnable. Liquid choked them to death this game. And despite a pretty good performance, we saw an earlier game that was similar to this, right? But Thunder Awakened, they crumbled under the pressure.